Before we begin, thank you very much to Beast Mascot for joining the Patreon campaign. Thank you very much for the support. Thank you everyone for helping the channel keep going, even if it's just $1 or $2 a month. It helps me out tremendously. We're like, this is the 5th day in a row. Like, you better not be starting another streak on me. You better not be starting another. The last one went a year. Like, that makes this so weird. That makes the intros so weird. I don't get to do a normal intro where I get to like make announcements and things. Like the fact that I drew the winner of the YOLO Park contest. So just to let everyone know, the winner identifies as Super Nerd in their emails. So if you entered, please go check your inboxes. Please don't stick me with these any longer. I would really like to give them to somebody. So all of that out of the way, we need to talk about Adamas Machina, the Steel Machine God Transformers. So T-Spark just kind of threw literally everything Takara out at the same time. And I've even learned more since then. You know, the fact that Betamon is also in the brands that are coming back. That Ryukendo is coming back as part of Toy Rise. And then Project M, which seems to be based on Microman, but with the design work of Kojima Productions behind it. Okay, it's a ton. It's an absolute ton. But the stuff that we are focusing on is the stuff that they were ready to present first. You know, the first, glimpse that we have of this enormous umbrella of product. And that is the one you see in front of you. It is the IDW Adamas figure that's fully transforming and apparently die-cast, according to the Google Translate I did. But it's not entirely IDW Adamas. It's based in that design, but it's actually the Flame Toys design that they originally released as an articulated figure that Takara is now turning into a transformable one. This is an official collaboration. Flame Toys on their Twitter account actually did confirm it, that they are working with Takara on this. And now we just get to sit and wonder, what else can this line do? Because it seems like there are particular things that this line wants to accomplish, judging by the 2 figures it's already announced. So first off, since this is in partnership with Flame Toys, I think it's a good idea to kind of refresh ourselves on some of the designs that they have done that I would personally love to see as a fully working Transformer figure. And that would, of course, begin with one of their Optimus Primes. This is a super stylized Optimus, very, very anime in design, and it's not the only time they have gone exceptionally anime with their Optimus Prime designs. Their model kits kind of did the exact same thing. I do like the look of it. It's far more round. I mean, it's only slightly based in the IDW design. I think for the most part, it's fairly original. As original as something that looks like G1 Optimus Prime can get, that is. But I do like the overall look. And if Takara could actually figure out how to get a truck out of such a curvaceous Optimus Prime, that would be interesting to see. I would be fascinated to see them give it a try, just to see how it would end up working. Though, to be fair, this is a softball, Like, compared to, like, Rodimus and Predaking, an Optimus Prime is just obvious. And there's almost part of me that wonders if they're not going to be that obvious with the releases, given who they have announced first. If we're looking into their catalog of designs, if we're looking into ones that I really, really like, and the other ones that are based in IDW lore, that Megatron, that Stealth Bomber Megatron, number one, just a super cool looking take on Megatron. Just really intimidating posture, really intimidating silhouette. He looks so cool. Now, we did get a transforming toy of this design during Thrilling 30. It wasn't that great of a figure. I remember mine in particular being fairly loose and not really the most sturdy of toys. And also, it doesn't hit the silhouette that this one does. It's just, this one is just a much nicer take on it. And then you have the upgrades to it, where it starts getting even better. I have no idea if Takara could replicate this and still make it a stealth bomber, but man, would I like them to try. Look at this. Look at this. It's like an evil seraphim. It's amazing looking. If they could pull this off, I want it. I would buy it in a heartbeat if they could pull this off. Yeah, it's a gorgeous design. Absolutely gorgeous design. The weird thing about this design is it's also released as Shattered Glass Megatron, weirdly enough, but only in this figure. It's odd because I've never seen Shattered Glass done with the stealth bomber design. But again, it delves into the IDW catalog. It's something Flame Toys did. If this is a partnership, this is a really good candidate. This is a really, really good candidate. I know a lot of people who really like this design and would love to see a good toy of it. Me included. Absolutely me included. If we're getting lofty in our wishes, if we're getting lofty with our wishes, how about him? How about him? Now, keep in mind, we're actually getting a version of him next year when the primes become a major thing in this franchise. So that is I'd say a strong-ish potential of getting something like this, just because it's going to be very much flavor of the day. But it might be a big ask. It might be a big ask. I would want it. I would want it. I love me some Dreamwave Fallen style design. This big walking coal oven of a transformer. Yeah, like I would absolutely be down for that. Of course, if we're talking about Flame Toys and their higher end designs from IDW, there's one I have to mention, and yes, this would murder me. Because yes, I would want it. It would be a high-end transforming Star Saber, but then again, it's that Star Saber. It's the character assassination Star Saber. I really hate what IDW did to the character. IDW 1.0, shame on you for ruining one of the most unique Transformer leaders and just making him a generic zealot. I can't deny that the design isn't cool, though. I hate that the design is so good. I know there's third-party Transformers for a lot of this stuff, by the way. I don't care. I want the official people designing this. I want to see what Takara can do when they are completely unhinged with their design work, which seems to be the general vibe of this line. Now, if we're talking about Flame Toy designs here, we really shouldn't limit ourselves to Karakuri. That's just their highest end line, and while it does seem like Adamas Machina absolutely wants to do the extreme designs, it doesn't mean it's the only ones available to us, because of course Flame Toys also did a ton of model kits with some unique designs. How about Starscream and his super anime look? This one really kind of gets to like that older style of model kits that Flame Toys did, where it's very much anime aesthetic. Like I said, they did an Optimus Prime that's kind of like this as well. It's not a bad design. I would be more interested in just how you get it to turn into a solid looking jet, more than I would just having this design as a transformer, because I think on an engineering level, it would be fascinating to see what exactly you come up with. It could turn into a potentially interesting looking Starscream if you could manage to figure out how to transform it. There's many Starscream options, by the way. I believe I believe they did a more advanced one as well, but we're just starting gentle into the model kit category. What about the Bumblebee? Because they had a weird take on the Bumblebee. So not only do they include this very Action Masters, flight pack to him, because the model was, of course, smaller, so they bulked it out with some extra parts, like you do with Bumblebees. But they also included a Warhammer, and to my knowledge, I want to say this, I could be wrong, don't get me wrong, it's hard to keep this straight, but I want to say this model kit was out before they gave him the Warhammer in The Last Knight. Like, I don't know why Bumblebee with a sledgehammer became a thing for a little bit, but it did. So here's G1 with a sledgehammer. What interests me more is, again, like, how do you turn, like, rough and tumble aesthetic Bumblebee into an actual vehicle? I don't think he could be the Volkswagen. I think he could have elements of it, but you'd have to figure out basically a brand new car mode for him. It would be an interesting challenge, and it might come up with something cool looking. You never know until you try. And I'm not going to lie, I kind of want them to try here. If that backpack can be turned them into some kind of like flight mode or like aquatic mode, a la like, like the last animated Bumblebee, the hydro dive, that might be fun. Might be fun. Let's not limit ourselves to G1. Let's not limit ourselves to G1. Flame Toys has done really cool Beast Wars designs too. Remember their Primal? The Furai Action Primal? The one, basically, the thing they could have made as a model kit, but they decided to just like assemble and paint and sell as an action figure. This is a really cool Optimus Primal. And unlike Bumblebee and Starscream, I can absolutely see this one transforming. Not only because they wouldn't have to be beholden to a realistic gorilla in alt mode, but also just because the bulk is there. And, let's be honest, it ain't a complex transformation on that Primal. This one would be really good to do. Really good to do. Because it's a really cool design for Primal. And yeah, I think the resulting gorilla mode would be pretty cool looking. Kind of cyborgy, which would actually be kind of neat. I mean, as long as we're going to like the moon with these requests, and as long as we're bringing up Primal, what about his rival that was announced like 2 years ago? And I haven't seen hide nor hair of this thing. It's a really cool design for Beast Wars Megatron. I actually really like how the tail has become this like 3-bladed railgun. Looks really, really cool. Where is it? Where is it? I remember seeing a prototype of it, but I never saw it come out. Because I know it didn't come out, because it's a design I would actually be interested in. I'm almost wondering if the Kurakara Kuri stuff, or even the model kits, I'm genuinely wondering. I've seen them slow down in releases and announcements to the point where I'm kind of wondering if that's doing well enough. If like this partnership with Takara isn't to kind of salvage some of the design work into an actual like toy form. I'm wildly speculating because I know they just announced their Jazz. They're still doing stuff, but otherwise, like, it's a weird choice to make. So I'm kind of wondering if that's kind of it, because there's a lot of designs like this, that I've seen design work for model kits that haven't come out yet, like this one. So I'm just kind of wondering if that might be like a part of it, and this might be the way we get some of those unreleased designs. But then again, if we're talking about the designs they've done, and, talking about like the IDW designs they had done previously, this isn't the Megatron we want. It's this one. So the issue with Megatron is that you can't do him in the Generations line because the Transformers that go to retail are still a kid's line, right? So they don't want to confuse a kid on a shelf with a Megatron that isn't a Decepticon. You can see on even the Transformers 1 stuff, he's still marked as a Decepticon all across the packaging. They put that Decepticon symbol big bold on his chest. Even when in the movie, it's on his arm. So there's a brand identity there that has always made them like a little bit leery of doing Autobot Megatron. Even in Earthspark, you still see him with a Decepticon symbol embedded inside the ghost emblem on his toy. Things like that. There are things like that kind of get to me. So we've never really had a proper Autobot Megatron at retail, but this seems to be very collector driven. This seems to be doing things very outside the box. I would absolutely see this as a great way of releasing an official one. Absolutely great way. Because even if you're not a fan of the Autobot Megatron idea, the design is great. The design is awesome, and the design deserves to have some official toy representation. In general, IDW has a ton of designs that are just really cool. Just like really cool. Now, I don't expect a line like this to do like a B-list character like Trailbreaker. And me calling him B-list is kind of generous. Unfortunately, the boy has not really done a whole lot in Transformers media, much to my sorrow. However, I'm just showing him as an example of just how intense the IDW designs can get. And it feels like that is what this particular toy line is going for. So this is an opportunity to do a lot of these designs that maybe haven't come across yet. Things like IDW RC. Tumultuous history as a character notwithstanding, she's had some really cool designs that have never gotten good representation, especially this one that has an Earth alt mode. Now, this seems to be a very high-end collector-based line, so giving her some kind of form that would allow her to transform does not seem to be out of the question. You know, it might have to be a very sleek, low to the ground car, but I could absolutely see some form of vehicular, car RC coming to this line in some kind of aesthetic like this, if they continue the IDW thing. That's if they continue the IDW thing. I'm basically making a wish list here of IDW stuff I want toys of, and I could go on with that all day, but we're going to keep it to a very few select numbers. Like Grimlock. There's a third-party Grimlock now that actually does this design, and it looks amazing. And I want Takara to take a swing at it too, because I love how Grimlock looks like toward the end of the IDW run, like when he's with the Scavengers. It's a really cool-looking Grimlock. It's a really sleek T-Rex mode. I want it. I want it. I want a toy of it. It had really good character moments at this point, too. That's another reason I really want it. If we're getting into designs I really want, Starscreams are always good. The last version of Starscream in this storyline never really had a good toy representation. Ironic, considering all the other ones were changed because Hasbro wanted them to use the current toys for Starscream. But it's not the Starscream I really want. I really want this one. Only showed up in one comic, and is just imaginary in a sense. But the design's amazing. The design is absolutely amazing. So, this is just like off-the-cuff stuff of like what I would really like if this is continuing in the direction it looks like it's going in. Borrowing the Flame Toys designs, which borrow the IDW designs. And that just seems to be like a natural flow as to like how we can figure out what might come next with this line. However, there is another direction here that is getting neglected. So here is the line art for their Predaking, coming soon. I don't expect to hear anything about this in the next 6 months, considering how far off Adamas is. We're going to be sitting a long time before we hear anything about this Predaking. But we're also super curious about this. It's a combiner in a line that might have die-cast parts. That seems like a little bit of a risk. It's a very different style on Predaking. Now, everyone, including myself at first glance, was attributing this to being the Call of the Primitives Predaking, which is the one G1 episode with like incredibly detailed animation, like movie level animation. Like just one studio got a hold of that and just like that's where all the season 3 budget went. That's why we had to pay ACOM for half the season, because we put all the budget into that one episode. So Predaking in particular ended up super anime looking. However, if we put them side by side, they don't really match as well as everyone thought. Now, the anime proportions, absolutely. However, a lot of the details are incorrect, especially in the legs, which have a very different shape to them and a lot of different design details. Now, keep in mind, I'm using a mirrored version of Predaking on the right in order to match the art on the left. So if you're looking at the left leg of one, look at the right leg of the other. That's where your discrepancies are. The point being, it's not actually the Predaking from Call of the Primitives. It's just in a similar anime-heavy aesthetic. But there are other aspects of it that actually remind me of the Studio Ox Predaking, especially the curves of the legs. So it feels like they're actually trying to hit a blend of different inspirations like that. And if we're going with extreme crazy designs in Transformers, which IDW Rodimus certainly is, that does open the window to things like this. Studio Ox did a whole bunch of artwork for magazines to promote Transformers, and the artwork was always very detailed, very impressive. They are the ones who designed Gilthor, the hybrid Optimus Megatron that never had an official toy because it only appeared in one manga. But it's one of those concepts that we've latched onto for years and have never really had a good representation of, because it's just a weird design. What else do you do with it once you make the toy? There's no remolding this thing. But in a line that's designed for collectors, where a one-run mold is all you're really expecting to do, it becomes possible. Here's where I really expect it. Here's where it would get cool. This is a pretty famous image. This is a pretty famous image that Studio Ox did, and not only shows a very extreme take on Rodimus Prime's design, but also one of Optimus. So this is kind of an iconic picture. This is one of the earliest pictures you find out about when you get into the fandom, and I would love this. I would love this. If Predaking is an example of them going to the Studio Ox route and doing those designs, yeah, this please. This absolutely please. But if we're including one artist, if we're including one studio, why stop there? If we're looking for incredibly complex designs that we can fit into a toy line finally, let's just go to the craziest of them all. Let's go full Fluoro Dairy and produce some of the designs the way he originally created them. This is the first Ultra Magnus, by the way. This is the first Ultra Magnus design. Heavily modified, we would see it as Orion Pax in War Dawn from Season 2. That's how early they were designing Ultra Magnus, by the way. And probably before they even knew that they were going to be retooling Powered Convoy into the US version. This would be kind of insane, but I would be down for it. I would be absolutely into it. And Fluoro's done crazy levels of detail on his designs that never saw the light of day before. This is the kind of line where crazy stuff like this is possible. I'm not saying this is the direction it's going to go in. Don't take any of this as fact. I am speculating wildly. All I am saying is crazy stuff like this that we never really had before is suddenly possible because of this crazy collector's line that Takara is launching. Because we are going to this style of toy and that style of Predaking, it opens the doors to a lot of potential designs that have never seen toy form that collectors would specifically be interested in. And if the line takes off and it's, the next masterpiece and continues on another 20 years, who knows how many designs like this we're going to get. So I am extraordinarily excited. Please let me know in the comments below, which are you looking forward to? Like, what are you hoping they do? Whether it's one of Flame Toys designs, an IDW design, or whatever crazy official artwork is out there for Transformers that's never seen the light of an official toy. Let me know in the comments below. Start the discussion for me. And as always, I will see you next time.